she will be here. I'm aware of that. If we can go to item 3 on the agenda then. That's dealing with the minutes. Confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary council meeting of the 30th of September. I can just get my, that's not the one. Is this it? Is this it? Must be this one. Yeah. Okay. I know the minutes is right in front of me. Maybe I should just look there. It's easier. Mrs. Jansen. If we can do corrections and then confirmation. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7. Page number 8. Slow down a little bit. Okay, page 9. Page 10. Page 11. Page 12. 13, which is the last page. The rest of the other 2 pages is attendance registers. Is that a true reflection? Councillor Swart?
Thank you, Speaker. I just want to make some comments on the minutes. No corrections, but there's 2 items where reports were supposed to come back to MACA, which are done to full hearing in MACA, and also a report to council. And I don't know if anyone's following up on the minutes to ensure that we're getting these reports back that we ask for the next meeting, or if there's going to be delays, that we advise of such delays.
Thank you, Councillor Swart. I have asked the MM to prepare us an item on outstanding items. We've taken decisions as this council. They are not being implemented or actioned, and I would like a list of all those decisions here, so that we can see who the directors is that not doing what they are supposed to do. Thank you for that. But that item is coming. I've already asked for one. I've also noticed there's a couple of decisions that we have taken that's not been actioned here. Councillor Mbali.
Confirm.
Yeah, can I get a proposal for confirmation? Thank you, Councillor Mbali. Proposed, seconded by the Deputy Executive Mayor, Councillor Kabai. That confirms the minutes then for the 30th of September 2020. If we can move over to item number 5, statement and communications by the Executive Mayor. Mr. Mayor, 5.1.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Greetings to all councillors present and officials. Speaker, there is nothing much to say except to highlight to council that we are approaching the festive season.
2 minutes.
And usually people start to flock into the town in November. Since the town is getting busy even now. So it's just for us to start now to be the eyes and ears for the council. I have tried to engage with officials as well on the matter. The MM is aware that we need to start to prepare for the festive. But on top of that, Speaker, we've noticed that the COVID-19 is still not gone. It's still around. It means that we also need to to be vigilant around the issues of COVID-19. The other burning matter that I think we need to look
How's the
at
volume?
is the
How's the
issue
volume
of
there?
Kolweni and unrest and the relocation of
Did you hear my phone ring now?
in the area of Kolweni.
Did you hear something else now?
I was made aware by the municipal manager that yes, the contractor that the community wanted to see was appointed, but I'm told that there are some objections now, which might also lead to the delay of the project. And if that happens, I'm not sure what will that community do with regard to delay. The other issue, we want to start relocating the people in that area, but it will mean that we need proper plan as council and also be aware of the implication.
Mr. Mayor, can I just ask you a indulgence for 1 second? When we had that security meeting, you narrated to us perfectly the situation that are there, the amount of people. Can you do that for us, please? Because some other council wasn't there.
I thought the
You
report,
did it very well.
didn't you bring the report, MMJ, to council?
What you said at that meeting, I'm sure no report can reflect. I think it's important that we all know, and while it's an open council meeting, it can be recorded properly. You did a perfect job on that day.
I think, Speaker, if I might go back, there's a provincial consulting company by the name of PEP, which was appointed by the provincial government to do a survey and an analysis of human settlement around Plettenberg Bay. So they went into that community together with our officials to really identify who should be relocated, who are the beneficiaries, who are the non-qualifiers. In that process, especially in the area where we want to build houses, they discovered that there's about 303 people that are staying in that area. Yeah. Out of the 303 people, shacks that are there, that need to be relocated so that we can start to build. It's only about 35 people who are qualifiers or beneficiaries that can be. Sensitive part that we need to take into consideration, because it is composed of non-qualifiers who happen to, it's a different categories of non-qualifiers. Some of them, they managed to get houses before, so they will not be able to get any house in the whole of South Africa. Some of them were from Kwanok Tula and so on in other provinces. The other group that is there is our foreign brothers and sisters who will not qualify for RTP houses in South Africa. The other group that is there, it's new people who just came into the town, who never filled in any application for housing. So you've got the young people as well who are below the target group for RTP houses. So it's a various people that are there. But also there's business people that don't want people to move there, because they know once those people move, it means their businesses are gone. So there's also that kind of a resistance. Now, for us to move those non-qualifiers, we identify certain areas in Kolweni and some of the TRAs that are existing already, to actually put some of these non-qualifiers into those areas. But the truth of the matter, that will not go easily without resistance. It's something that I think the council should look at, because as we demolish, we don't want people to start building. as we demolish, we don't want. So you will need a company, a security company that will make sure to monitor the situation that if we remove you, we demolish the shacks and nobody builds there, so that there should be a space for people to be removed. But there might be that resistant, and the MM actually, during the unrest, this is the matter that it affects any unrest, it affects the industrial area and some areas. So there was red ants. Red ants are actually trained in terms of eviction. But the people were thinking of using our law enforcement officers, which I don't think they do have the capacity to deal with that kind of a situation, whereby the non-qualifiers, all these types of non-qualifiers refuse to be relocated into any other area. So it's something that I think, Speaker, it's going to be tough, and then that we should be able to look at as council. Briefly, Speaker, I think I must end there. I'm not sure if there's any other question or explanation you need from me. I can be able to do that. But
thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That item is on the agenda as well. We can always expand there if needed. Yeah. Thank you very much for that. I just thought that it's important that we are all on the same page on what it is exactly what's happening there. I've got nothing from my side to communicate. Item 6 on the agenda is presentations. I have none. Did not receive any. Item 7 on our agenda is items that are for information that have been dealt with by the Executive Mayor under his delegations. All the items that were dealt with by the Executive Mayor is C items, so we will deal with them under number 8. Item number 8, non-delegated matters. There is a schedule of items that we need to deal with under your portfolio of index. If we start with the first section, which is the section of the municipal manager. Is that a problem?
Sorry, Mr. Speaker, the addendum 2 that was received now is an open item under section 1.
Oh, sorry. I forgot about that one. And I've just mentioned it. And then I forgot to work it in the agenda. Is this the one, MM?
Yes.
But this one doesn't have an item.
Yeah, it's open. It's under my department.
Yeah. But there's no item. Can I have one with an item number?
It is item number C/1/183/10/20.
Okay, that's read into the
Sorry, Speaker, it's item 182.
item?
C/1/182.
There we go, yeah. It's item number C/1/182/10/2020. And the item heading is to request condonation from Council to authorize unforeseen and unavoidable expenditure as a result of the recent riots. And it is exactly dealing with the issue that the Mayor has just mentioned, getting possible help from outside company to assist with the relocation. Something that we did not make the necessarily provision for. Can we deal with this item? Councillor Mbali? Or the Mayor? Which one?
Speaker.
Okay, Mr. Mayor.
Speaker.
Sorry, Councillor Nell.
I would also like to add to this item after the first speaker.
Can you speak a little bit louder, Councillor Nell? We did not get you.
Sorry. Can you hear me now, Speaker?
I can hear you.
Speaker, I would also like to add to this item after the first speaker that put up their hand. I'm not in council. I can't see who that speaker is, but as soon as that speaker has spoken, I would like an opportunity, please.
Thank you. We will give you an opportunity, Councillor Nel. Okay, Mr. Mayor.
I need to request at least council maybe to pass this item until they get some explanation, proper explanation. This item was prepared last night or this morning.
Last night and this morning.
Last night and this morning. So I haven't discussed it properly with the municipal manager. I'm not sure but if council feels that it can be discussed now.
I don't know. I've got no problem moving it. Is it urgent enough to wait for November? And yes, it is. Because we need to move on that side. Councillor Mbali?
Thanks, Speaker. I think maybe we deal with it in the last, as a last item in the agenda, if the mayor wants to go through it and all of that. Because I was going to speak just in addition to part of his statements, opening statements with regard to the stabilization unit or teams, which was requested at the time. And I think this is a result of, or rather, a proof of the damage that has been caused by the riots, which we all agreed to. The community of Kolweni, when the executive mayor and his team and ourselves attended to that situation, and this is in support of the statement which he raised in his opening, that they've requested that the use of the red ends be utilized for the particular purpose of the removal of people and all of that. And if this is the item 6 to deal with that particular issue, because Councillor Machila also reported to me that during this week they were there to remove the people, to start with the removal of the people, but they received a resistance. People were fighting the officials, and therefore they could not move anyone this week. Now that in itself tells the dire need or situation for this particular, but perhaps because the mayor was dealing with the item, I'll agree to deal with it at the end of the agenda if need be, unless it requires to stand over. But I think we all agreed, the community agreed that we need to bring in the stabilization unit, because the reality of the matter, we are going to receive quite a number of resistance for those who already have houses in the area, for those who already have shops, big houses, who indicated there that, by the way, as a municipality, we are giving them, what you call this thing, you know, 1 room, when they are used to 4 rooms, 8 rooms. So that in itself tells you are going to get that resistance. There are people who are just going to tell you that I'm not going to go to that 1 room. Rather, I'll stay here. So they will in some way do certain things that will make us not to progress with the project itself. So if that is going to be stabilized, the area, I think all of us will agree, I think we had enough of the riots that are happening in the area, and we shouldn't play in the game saying we'll let it is, and then people will say there's no movement. We'll promise them that there will be movement, and then that happened. So I thought I must just add to what he raised earlier on. Thank you, Speaker.
Okay, Councillor Swart, and then I'll go to Councillor Nel remotely.
Thank you, Speaker. When was this item sent to us? Was it mailed to us today only, or was it?
No, I've just read it in. I've just received it.
Okay, because I haven't seen it yet, so I'd also like to go through it first.
Yeah, no, I've just received it, yeah. Councillor Nel?
Speaker, yes. Speaker, I have had an opportunity to briefly look at the item, and the way I understand this item, it is an application for council to condone a 3.5 million worth of expenditure on guarding services and private security services during the Kolweni riots. I think if that is the case, which it appears to be looking at the item on screen where I'm sitting, then the question I think that needs to be raised here is the rates that we were charged, 3.5 million rand, or actually more than 3.5 million. And in terms of the South African Regulatory Authority of Private Security Companies, there is a tariff. And my understanding is that these charges that we are levied here are way above that tariff. And my suggestion to Council is that we refer this matter back to the administration to fully investigate the rates in terms of the CIRA, which falls under the Private Security Regulatory Act of 2019. Compare those rates and those tariffs to see whether we are in fact paying what we should pay, because my suspicion is that we are being woefully overcharged here. So my proposal to Council is that we refer this matter back to the administration for full investigation.
Yes, it's a bit difficult to hear. Councillor Nel, just 1 second, please. You can repeat your recommendations now. Mr. Zakati, can we close that window, please? Because we find it very difficult to hear you.
Sorry, yes, Speaker. Can you hear me clearly now?
I will call you when you must speak again.
Speaker, good. I don't know whether you are allowing that we deal with the
no,
now.
Yes. I just wanted him to finish.
Because he is really moving on now. Let's agree that we are dealing with the item now, or we deal with it later.
Yes. I don't think, Councillor Nel, I just allowed you to speak on your item because I've allowed everybody else to speak on it. There was a proposal by Councillor Mbali, Mr. Mayor, I'll give you opportunity now, that we deal with the item at the end of the meeting so that we can give everybody opportunity to go through it, because we did receive it this morning.
Yes.
Can you bring your recommendations then when we deal with it? If it's
I will do that, Speaker. Thank you. I will do that.
Mr. Mayor? It's still up to you to decide if we have it or not.
Thank you very much, Speaker. It's exactly that that I'm requesting that I must meet with my officials after this, because the item did not go through the MACO, so that I can get the necessary information. So it includes what Councillor Nel is talking about, but on top of that, it includes what is the plan, the future plan, if we might need this kind of services again. So that's the information that I need to get from the official.
Yeah. And okay, so then on the request of the Executive Mayor, we will move this item to a next meeting. It does not stop you when there's an emergency to go into emergency expenditure and then bring it to us and explain it to us, the same way you're doing it now.
Speaker, I was asking that Council can discuss it at last.
Oh, okay, then it's fine.
Because my worry is these people, are they still there? They are gone. Now, when are you going to need them again? Because there is a process of relocating that needs to start. We don't know what will be the resistance. But also, to address Councillor Nel's question, what are the rates and how many people do we think they should bring, or according to their experience, if that should happen, how many guards will they need? So that's the type of information. So it gets incorporated now and be planned for the relocation process.
Fully understood. Fully understood. Let's leave it at that. We'll deal with it at the last item. All agree? Thank you very much. Thank you. We can move then to the next section, section 2, which is the finance section. Our first item under C2, under section 2, is C2 194/10/20, and it's the draft adjustment budget, which is COVID-19 related. You'll find the item or the report on pages 25 to page 40. Item is serving. Councillor Mbali.
Thanks, Speaker. Speaker, we must welcome the allocation in this process. One wants to say that we agree with the additions that the provision for the toilets, that it should not just include informal settlements. The reality of the matter that COVID dealt with or is dealing with just about everybody. And with us knowing that the public toilets, for example, in the taxi rank in town is used by the public, but it's in a bad state, and it also needs our attention. Hence, we've asked that it be included so that the issue is not ring-fenced only for that, whereas COVID is not only dealing with certain area. We understand the planning, and when it was done, it was only focused on that issue. And I'm also glad that with the challenges that we were having in Kranzuk, when it comes to water supply, that is also included. Again, the decanting of informal areas in Kolweni, we said it's unfortunate that we are dealing with this item today, when we were supposed to deal with the matter during the 21-day period, the issue of decanting of our people in that area. And we hope that as soon as this has been approved by council, and that the relevant officials will then be able to move with speed. But what we will want to call upon is to make sure the spending is properly monitored and properly reported. We do not want to be one of those municipalities included in the PPE saga. Because there will be a serious zoom in on these allocations. And that's what we want to call, and I think we have called that, particularly on the danger allowance, as much as we are happy with it, there must be a consultation with the employees so that they get to understand the position we find ourselves in, that not all what they've requested they will receive, but at least as this municipality, in the allocation we receive, we manage to find a way to make sure that danger allowance is received by those who deserve it in terms of the areas where they work. With that, Speaker, we go with the recommendations of this particular item. I thank you very much, Speaker.
Councillor Swart.
Thank you, Speaker. Just a comment on some of the items on here. I'm glad to see that the taxi rank has been included in this, because that is an area that most communities use when they are coming to town. So I'm glad to see that that is in there. Just with regards to decanting of informal areas, I think often we are our own worst enemies, and we need to learn from mistakes that we make. Now, that particular site has grown to the size it's at because we didn't manage it properly. We should never have allowed it to get to that point, because it was a site that was earmarked for development. And now that we want to build houses for people there, we are sitting with problems of where to put people that don't qualify. And the community in a meeting, the committee rather, of Koweni, in a meeting chaired by Councillor Matilia, has raised concerns about the exact same issues happening in the Bossiesgif area, especially around the sports field, with illegal shacks being erected there. And this project has highlighted a potential problem for the future when that area wants to be developed. And they've asked the municipality to do something to control that, so that we don't sit in the same situation when we develop the Bossiesgif area, where we now need to decant people that don't qualify. So if we'd managed the site better, we probably wouldn't be sitting in this situation. But the reality is we need to do something about it. And we need to move the people to a suitable area. Then just on the food parcels, is some of this money going to be returned to municipal funds that were used? Because the municipality did donate R1 million for food parcels. So I'm assuming that that's going to be to recover what the municipality spent and then reallocate that back to areas where we reduced budgets. So it's like some clarity on that. And then just with regards to danger allowances, I know we were waiting for SALGA recommendations to come back on that. I don't know if we've received them yet, but the number there of 300 people seems to be more than the people that worked during COVID in the list below. And also a lot of the people in the list below, it seems some have worked from home. Are they also going to be included in danger allowances, or is it really people like your sanitation, traffic that were out in the streets and actually moving about and that were at risk? So I think we just need to watch where we are going to be spending that.
Thank you. Good point. Can you answer both of those two questions, MM?
Thanks, Speaker. On the issue that relates to food parcels, we are envisaging the second wave of COVID-19. As we listen and see on TV and getting briefs from the provincial government that there is a potential of the second wave. So we decided that if we confront that situation, let's make a provision for that in the same similar fashion that we have done in 2020 by using the hospice and in terms of donating to them so they can give, so that there's a transparency, because they were the people that were assisting us in terms of the jog that me and you were serving in, so they can be able to deliver those. On the issue of danger allowance, we just make a provision of 300 people, which are limited to all essential service workers that were working. We kept our registers, so we benchmark it at 300 people. It can be less, but a consultative process will take place at the local labor forum and further will be endorsed by council before any disbursements can be made in that respect. On the issue that relates to the decanting of informal areas, we have identified sites, which is the old sports field, which is there at Kolweni. We also identified other two sites. Unfortunately, the director is off sick, but we'll be working closely with the committee and the stakeholders meeting that are present there. Fortunately for us, distracted.
Sorry.
Can I continue?
Yes, you can.
Fortunately for us, at the meeting that is initiated by the executive mayor, he decided that let us have a mediator that is going to be mediating between ourselves as municipality and the people of Potchefstroom and Kolweni by the name of the company of Mostel and Palmer in town. So they are currently busy with that mediation. I'll speak at large on that when it comes to the last item that we just presented here. But that stakeholders meeting is on Monday, whereby the municipality will put their plans in place to the meeting, and then we'll be also getting the plans from the community, because one of the challenges, but I was took there, we are dealing with different faces, people that are constituting the committee in that area. But now we decided, let us take it out from us and have an independent person that we're dealing with that. So all the issues that relates to the decanting and everything will be discussed at that meeting. And councillors will be participating, the ward councillors or any other mayor or any other councillors got any interest in the deliberations that are taking place there, they'll be part of the discussions, including my officials.
Thank you. And just the response to the SALGA approval, SALGA is, I think, still a long way from having a policy. They have sent a questionnaire this week to all municipalities, asking them if municipalities have policies and so on and so forth, and how many people and what have we paid. So they are at that stage only. So there's nothing yet from them. Councillor Kamkam.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I want to speak to the provision of additional and upgrading of toilet facilities. Could I kindly ask Council not to forget about Zawa, Ramkamp area, Vlei area in Kirland Village, which also I wish I can have the photos that was posted by PEP. They're having their consumer awareness this week, and the state of the toilets in the informal areas it's really not in a good condition. So please, let's spread those resources to other communities as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kamkam. I fully agree. Whilst we do that, we must also have drives, awareness drives in our communities that the facilities that are put there is for their own use. From their side, they must also assist us in upkeeping them. There's no point we putting a toilet today and tomorrow you can't use it anymore. We must do the same, yes. Thank you very much, councillors. Can I get a seconder? The item was proposed by Councillor Mbali. Is there a seconder? Councillor van Reijnen. Thank you very much. So item carried. If we can go then to the next item, it's item C, stroke 2, stroke 195, stroke 10, stroke 20, and that's the report on the outstanding debt for the month of August. You will find the item on page 41 until 270. Item is serving. Councillor Swart.
Thank you, Speaker. It's interesting to note that the Plettenberg Bay area, which is predominantly Ward 2, has got the highest outstanding debt. And I noticed that where we give figures on the overdue amounts, we only give for the whole of Bitou and not a breakdown per area as well. And I think could it be beneficial if we can get included in the report the breakdown per area, because you'll probably find that in the Plettenberg Bay area, the outstanding debt, the highest amount is probably in the current amounts and not so much in the overdues, even though they carry the biggest value. Because we need to pinpoint where the overdues are if we need to collect, if we're going to collect that money and actually have a proper credit control program in place so that we can earmark the areas where there's overdue debt. So this gives us a picture of the debt, but it doesn't give us a picture per area of the overdue debt. I'd like to see that included in the reports.
Okay. Thank you very much, Councillor Swart. So, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, I just want to hear from the Ward Councillor of Ward 3. There were some houses in Pine Tree Khaji that were not paying for services. You reported that some time back that some people were not paying the services for the services that they were getting. And also in I think Ward 5, Councillor Mbali, in the new development or the Deputy Mayor's ward, there were houses that were given, and also it was highlighted that some of the households they actually were not getting the bills. They were not paying, but we were giving services to them. I just want to check on with the ward councillors if that has improved or has been addressed or not.
Just for a matter of clarification, were they not billed or did they not pay while they were billed?
You know, when the houses are finished to be built, they are given to beneficiaries. And then the beneficiaries start to use water and all of that. But they are not paying for that kind of service that we're providing.
All right, Councillor Machila, then I get to you, Councillor Kamkam, sorry.
Thanks, Speaker. Speaker, I was reported, I think years ago, I think 2 to 3 years ago, that after those beneficiaries were received their houses, remember the construction were using the same water. And then when those beneficiaries get into the houses, the bill was high already.
Noted, so Councillor Nell.
They were complaining about that, and I reported that must be dealt with. And the issue of not having also the cashier there in Ward 3, it is another problem, because you'll find out some of the people are lazy to come to pay here in town while they are willing to pay the services. Some of them, their meter readers that I was reported underground. Those who are reading the meter readers, they're just assuming that they're using so much water, whereas they even don't see their meter readers. That's what the complaints that I was getting from the community. And then I saw myself some of the meter readers that are underground.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I want to hear and see what Councillor Nell is doing. So it forced me to put on my computer. Sorry, continue. No, thank you, Councillor Machila. Councillor Kamkam.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I'm very delighted to see point number 2 from the recommendations of the Executive Mayor, which speaks to historic debt. We also need to look at how we're going to strengthen our revenue section. That's adding on to point number 3, when we revise the credit control policy. We also need to look at a sliding scale in our affordability. We have discussed these issues with the finance chair. And Speaker, I hope when it comes to finding solutions, we will move with this at a very speedy pace. Because the challenge at the moment is that I am having in my ward, and I'm sure other councillors, ward councillors, has got the same problem, is that for years the communities did not pay. The municipality, we failed to enforce our credit control policy, and as a result of that, I mean, people sit with a lot of historical debt at the moment. So we have now started to enforce our credit control policy, and as we know, in the ESCOM areas, we enforce it by putting it on the drip system. So Speaker, when they started with the block list, obviously as a ward councillor, I went to revenue to fetch the list, and I saw on the list that some of the outstanding debt per household amounts to over 300,000 rand. Now, that's why it's very important that we take recommendation number 2 very seriously, because there's no way that we can expect a household to pay that amount. Some people owe up to 70,000 rand. And in the instances, people came to me telling me, Councillor, they've worked out my monthly repayment, and I will have to pay the municipality back about 4,000 rand per month. My salary is 5,000 rand, which means I will have 1,000 rand left in my account for my household expenses. Please, Speaker, I would really like us to add a time frame to recommendation number 2, and I would really like us to add that we will have to look at the revenue section and the problems and the challenges there, especially when it comes to revenue collection, the issue of incorrect billing, and then also, Speaker, the issue of the indigent, processing the indigent applications. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Councillor Kamkam. Councillor Olivier.
Thank you, Speaker. I have been generally covered by my colleagues, but I just want to add my voice to what was said in agreement, because obviously in Ward 7 I'm having those challenges. For me, it's very important. I'm going to say it again. I said to Councillor Mbali, I sound like a parrot already. We need the warm bodies in our communities to assist with this. I've been nagging for ages about a cashier. The challenge that I have is the cashier has been appointed, a salary has been paid, but that cashier is not resourced, specifically in Kranshoek. I don't think there's even a cashier in Green Valley, to add to injury to my ward. So that is very important to me, and all the other that has been said, I'm quite in agreement. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, MMC for Finance.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, councillors will agree that we represented their views very well. Speaker, firstly, let me deal with what Councillor Swart raised. I think it is quite correct in terms of their reporting pattern of saying how or who owes us for how much, how long. And I'm sure Councillor Swart will remember, and I'm sure you will get it on your monthly reports as well, that our reporting does, in fact, at times tell us that Ward 2 is owing us this much, and Ward 2 take us so long to pay. And you are quite correct. As much as sometimes Ward 2 has this much of a bill, but what 2 takes us between 2.5 months to 3 months to pay. So the reporting does reflect that. If you go to the previous one, maybe this one, it might have just been an omission, but we always have that particular report. And I used to make this particular example about Ward 1 and Ward 7. The report will tell us Ward 7, they owe us this much, and it will take them between 34 months to 37 months to pay the bill of the municipality. Ward 5, Ward 6, between 10 and 17 months. So at least the reporting does at times reflect that your concern, and I think I agree with you. In the next report, it should reflect so that every report has a proper reading. Now, with regard to the issues that have been raised, I think the concern that councillor is raising, I think we've discussed them, but you will not see them as resolutions. But we've discussed them in MECO, that the issue of the revenue section in terms of looking at the whether there is enough personnel to really look at on all the processing and what are the challenges in that particular area. But also in making sure that ourselves as a municipality keep up with regard to really enforcing the revenue policy for us to be able to be in a better position and make sure that we collect. Now, we've agreed and we say we cannot collect in the absence of communicating with our people. In doing what we are doing in terms of this report does tell us, if one looks at the debtors book, the debtors book is too huge. And yet, we believe that we will collect that money. When we in fact know, Councillor Swart, that we will not collect that money. For therefore, something must happen. Something must be done. We've appointed people to look and collect. They must tell us what is collectible, what is not collectible, and report and give us a report. And we agree with you, Councillor Kamkam. In the next council meeting of November, we must have that report. What does it say? Because it's in the system, we know. All they need to do, the officials need to do, is to draw it and give it to us and say, this is what is collectible, this is what is not collectible, and this is the proposal they think with the financial implication in any case. If we do this, this is what is going to harm us. But in the long run, going to 50 years, 100 years, sitting with somebody in Ward 1, having to be told that you must pay over 244,000 of a debt that happened in 2005, that you're still sitting with it today. I think it is quite correct to say, let's look at that recommendation to work on it, make sure also our revenue collection, we are after COVID now, while it's still with us, but the economy is affected so much that it no longer speaks to the policy that we've already approved. Therefore, going forward, what do we do? How do we review that policy? It must balance the act. It must make sure that we are collecting and make sure that the municipality continues to be in a financial position and be able to render its services. And thereafter, making sure that as we collect, people afford to pay us. That means we are able to say we are building a culture of payment. Because it can't be that in our policy we are saying as councillors, officials, go and collect. But don't be rigid. Make sure that you find each other. That's what we said. Find each other. Find the consumer when they come and say, I want to pay 500 rand, but you are saying as a municipality I must pay 1,500. You are rigid. You say, no, go back. We want 1,500. But I can tell you, if you go to Bears or Louis come and knock on your door and they say, you're supposed to pay 1,000 rand. And you tell them, I can't pay, but I can pay, I can afford 500 rand. They'll say, give us that money. Or they will ask you, how much do you want to pay? And they will say, give us that 500 rand. It means the municipality has collected what they were not going to collect in any case. But in the current form, we are not collecting because we are rigid. And we seem not to be caring. So that's why we're bringing the issue of the review of that policy. And the officials must assist us and not come and blame us and say, you did this as councillors, you've approved this policy. The policy must talk to our intentions, and our intention is to have a policy that cares, and a policy that says you are not rigid, you are able to collect. If you're supposed to pay 100 rand, we take 50 rand if you don't have it. At least we've collected something. So that's the reason we're saying the policy must be reviewed. It's only on those bases, Chairperson. I think we'll go with the recommendation. We are all in agreement with councillors. We will continue to have this engagement with affected councillors, and we welcome all other councillors who think that they will want to add outside the chambers and want to add their views on how do we proceed and make sure that our communities and ourselves are able to monitor this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Mbale. I think the mayor might have indicated that he wanted to speak.
Speaker.
Okay, Councillor Nell.
Speaker, I had my hand up right from the beginning. Speaker, I have been mostly covered by all the councillors, and I'm in full agreement, and particularly with the last bit by Councillor Mbali. I just want to add one issue here, and that is the drip system which is currently being implemented. In some communities it may have been announced to the communities, in others not. And it's creating huge problems, and I believe that we should communicate with all communities properly to inform them what is going to happen. Because I suspect that we're going to see riots, particularly in the Green Valley area, because of this. So I would ask that we communicate with these communities properly.
Thank you, Councillor Nell. I agree with you. We must communicate and communicate and communicate before we implement this. Councillor Swart.
Thank you, Speaker. I just want to talk to.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, FDM. You can end off for us.
I just want to talk to Annexure B. I don't quite see where this fits in. But it's important that's that list of complaints and the reasons for complaints. And it's many pages and many complaints for the month. But I think what we need to take out of here is what is causing the complaints and where most of the problems are. And I think we'd be able to solve many of the accounts queries and complaints if we can ensure that we read the meters. That's where a lot of the problems seem to be coming from. Faulty meters not being read, not read the 1 month, read the next month, and then it's not averaged out and people are paying at the higher rate. And in speaking to one of the managers in the municipality at my public meeting, after my public meeting on Wednesday night, the feeling is that we have sufficient meter readers to do the work, but the meter readers aren't always at work and that they're on light duty. And I think we need to then make a management decision in the municipality to say people are not always at work because there's wellness reasons, we must maybe deploy them somewhere else and put someone in that is going to be able to get to doing what they should be doing on a daily basis in terms of reading meters. Because I think if we can get that basic thing done, we're going to solve a lot of these queries, which is going to free up a lot of time of the staff in that department, and then they can get to resolving the important queries. And maybe as an interim measure, if we could work on maybe a two-tier system where we assign someone to look after the backlog in queries we have, and have someone else that can deal with current queries so that they don't also become a backlog, then you can be reducing your backlog and at the same time dealing with the things that come up straight away. I did offer to the that I would like to go out with one of the meter readers for a day to see exactly what their challenges might be and to understand things from their side. But I think if we can get that basic thing sorted out in terms of getting all the meters read every month, it's going to go a long way to solving a lot of our account queries.
So on a point of correction, Speaker?
Yes.
Yeah, just Speaker. On the issue of the, maybe I used the wrong word, correction, just a point of clarity. On the issue of the meters that are unread, vis-a-vis the challenges of estimate. The municipality has now rolled out a program, particularly the engineering services, of trying to uncover all these meters that are not being read and that people can't find. But it's going at a slow pace, Speaker. We've asked the water section to give us a plan, which I think they will report to council what is going to happen. Because if, for example, I'll give you in Kwanuktula, they only have 2 guys that are digging up those meters. And it takes them a little bit of time because there's just only 2 people. And you can imagine what is happening also in other areas. So there is that program, but it's taking a lot, a shorter period. I think we want to resolve the issue of people being estimated going forward. But they are, because of planning of those areas, is quite bad. Some meters can't be found, completely can't be found in the yard. Some meters are found in a different yard, not in a particular earth. So currently we're picking up those challenges, Speaker. So I thought I must just clarify because the mayor did ask that particular question. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Bali. Deputy Executive Mayor.
Thanks, Speaker. One thing that I wanted to say, also referring to these meters that are underground. Listen, we don't have human capital in doing those, but we've got EPWPs, and we are not utilizing EPWPs effectively. To cite one challenge that we're having, there are EPWPs that have been sent to the fire unit. They are rejected there. They are roaming the streets, and I really don't understand, really. Must we be officials also? Must I take my jacket and be an official in order things to happen? Because we're bringing EPWPs and then they are not utilized. They are rejected. If then a particular unit is rejecting EPWPs, we must take all those EPWPs to places where, for instance, these meters that are underground, they must roam each and every ward in numbers and dig up those meters, monitored by people who have expertise. We are going to say it now, but it's not going to happen. I really don't understand. Must we be taking out our jackets, wearing those blue overalls as councillors? We can do that if they want to. You see? We can do that because really we're talking about service delivery. And also, again, the drip system. The people who are living in the places where it's called ESCOM areas, they want to pay. But the problem is that it's this historic debt that was being said here. We must really take that historic debt out of the way because really, again, communication is key. You can't go to an area and you say nothing and then you start installing the system without even taking them through. You must take them through, and immediately after that, there must be serious meetings that are going to be called. This is what we are embarking on, because we want you to be part of this community that is Bitou. Because they seem like we are not part of Bitou, because now they have came with a system and then they are saying nothing to us. They are just punishing us. So those are the things that we must do as this council. Yes, we are a caring government, because by introducing this system, that is the drip system, again, we're going to deal with the issue of historic debt, where people are going to say, really, this is what we want. We don't have a problem of paying services, but this was the problem on our part. So I want to stress also, Speak, that those EPWPs that are not used in that unit, they must all of them be taken to a unit that they are going to be utilized to. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Executive Mayor. Can I get a seconder for the proposal by Councillor Nell? Is that Councillor Nell? I must
Thank
juggle
you,
between
Speaker. Thank
Skype
you.
and...
Speaker, I just want to thank Councillor Kabai for what he just explained about the communication with these people that are being put onto the drip system. We can save a lot of money and a lot of difficulty if we go out and communicate with these people and get them to arrange a payment system before we get to actually just go out with them on a drip system. The communication is extremely important, and that should happen.
Thank you, Councillor Now. Agreed. Is there a seconder?
Seconded.
Thank you, Deputy Executive Mayor. Item is seconded, proposed and seconded. So item carried. And I hope, you took note of all the concerns of the councillors, especially around EPWPs and especially around communication before we just implement. And the report regarding the historic debt. Acting CFO, Mr. Maredi. We then move over to our next item on the agenda. That is item, I will be breaking at 15:15 for councillors just to give a breather with their mask. I would really appeal to all of us in the chamber to wear a mask. I think it's important. There's a second wave of COVID coming, and we don't want to lose any of us. Even if we have social distancing, we are a little bit too much in here, too many people, let me put it that way, in the chambers. So I'll give a break at 15:15. Next item is item C/2/196/10/20. Filling of a vacancy on the Valuation Appeals Board. You will find the item on page 271 and page 2 until 281. Remember, we appoint people on the Valuation Board. I think Mr. Palmer is still the chairperson, if I'm not mistaken, of the board. And maybe there's a vacancy. Mr. Kemp, I think, is no more there. And there's a proposal that Mr. Stephen Newfield. Councillor Mbali.
Go with the recommendations, please.
Thank you. Councillor Mbali, propose acceptance of a recommendation, seconded by Councillor Machila. Thank you. You must put your rooi liggie on first, Councillor Swart. So you must put your red light on first, and then you can jump in. Thank you very much. Item is proposed and seconded duly. Next item on our agenda is item C/2/197/10/20. And its the item title is tabling of a list of all exemptions, rebates, and reductions as required by subsection 15(3) of the Municipal Property Rates Act of 2004 of date of valuation for 2021 to 2025 general valuation roll. Item you will find on page 282 until 430. The list is there. Councillor Mbali.
Go with the recommendations, please.
There's a proposal that we go with the recommendations, and there's a seconder proposed by Councillor Mbali, seconded by Councillor Machila. Next item, it's item C/2/198/10/20, and it's a report on the supply chain management policy for the quarter 1st of July till 30th of September 2020. You will find the item on page 431 until 479. Item is serving. Do I see hands? Councillor Mbali.
Thanks. Go with the recommendation by the Executive Mayor.
Councillor Mbali proposed we go with the recommendation by the Executive Mayor, and it is seconded by Councillor Seisi. Item carried. Next item, it is item C/2/199/10/20, expenditure on overtime allowance for the quarter 2020, first quarter of 2020-2021. You will find the report on page 473 until 479. Item is serving. Councillor Mbali.
Thanks, Speaker. Speaker, it's just to say that we just want to call on to the management because this matter is really a management matter. As council, we asked that overtime be managed. We know some departments have put measures in place. We went on to say where it's required that overtime must really be taken. It must have gone through an analysis, and that analysis must be approved by the director as well as the municipal manager in cases of emergencies. So that we really make sure that department sticks to their budgets. Sometimes it's difficult, we understand, we know it's not easy to stick to your budgets, but I think we must just make sure that we don't overdo it and really have or wanting to put reasons why there's overtime. We're going to season now. We know we might have those challenges. We're going to have serious challenges. We know such periods become really exceptions, but we need to make sure that we keep on making sure that we manage overtime allowance budgets. Thank you very much, Speaker. We go with the recommendations.
There's a proposal. We go with the recommendations. Is there a seconder? Councillor Machila seconded and proposed by Councillor Mbali. Thank you, Councillor Mbali. Our next item is item C/2/200/10/20, development report for the quarter ending September 2020, 30th of September 2020. You will find the report on page 480 until 481. Item is serving. Councillor Mbali.
Go to recommendations, Speaker.
Thank you very much. There's a proposal. We go with the recommendation. Is there a seconder? Councillor Machila, seconded. And that item is then carried. Next item, it's item C/210/20, and it's a report on unauthorized expenditure for the year 2019-2020, which means the year that ended in end of June 2020. You'll find the report on page 482 until 495. Now, I know there will be debate on this one. Can I propose that we have a break now because my mask is giving me trouble? Let's have a break until, say, 25 past. Is that all right? Thank you very much. It gives tea, time for tea as well. Maybe half past. Let's make it half past. And it's Councillor Shoo. Can have tea as well. This thing is hot. No, we will be nearly done. We're done. Nearly done. Don't worry. Councillor Nyao, we will take that. You can have some coffee as well. Decent coffee on our behalf.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, I will do that.
Yes, half past we will join again. Can we reconvene? It is 28 minutes to 11. We had a little bit of a longer break than anticipated, but we start again. Next item on the agenda is item C/2/201/10/20. And it is the report on unauthorized expenditure for 2019-2020, ending June 2020. And as I've indicated, you will find the report on page 482 until 495. And I know that's why I took a break, because I know the MPAC chair will have a lot to say. Item is serving, Councillor Swart.
Thank you, Speaker. Just some clarity on some items. On the bad that's written off, the other expenditure due to increase in indigent debt. When we look at how many indigents we got, I think the last count was under 1,000. And I know there's a lot that still needs to be processed. So I'm just interested to know how we get to that value in terms of indigent debt to be written off, where we don't seem to have so many indigent applications that have been approved. So that's just the one question there. And then if we go further down, a lot of the unauthorized expenditure seems to be around fencing for various areas. Some of them I don't even know why it's done. For instance, the councillors' offices in Sewage Street, that's just made an issue with the parking and that. So some of it didn't seem to make sense. And another one, in terms of a Kransik tennis court, that Councillor Olivier is not sure where the tennis court is. So there's just some that seem a bit strange in terms of what was spent. Also, there's somewhere we're saying, if you take, for instance, and I know it's not a large amount, for the magistrates court, 13,000 Rand oversight from the department, the budget was reduced. And with the consultants and contractors due to COVID, but somehow they claimed more than what we agreed upon. So I don't know how we allow someone to claim more than what was agreed upon. So there's just those sort of queries that just raise some concerns from my side.
Thank you. I hope the MM and acting CFO take note of those questions so that we can answer them. Councillor Olivier.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I do have a challenge on the councillor office in Kransuk, the amount of money, 8,500 Rand. I recall that so clearly because it was a rusted door handle that broke off and a little bit of swelling on the door. I think this is an unreasonable amount of money. And then Councillor Swart stole my thunder about the tennis court. I wanted to make a hue and cry about it. But anyway, if it's built in Kransuk, I don't know where it is. So I would like somebody to come and point it out to me. I haven't been officially given notice about it either. And then I have a question on the upgrade of the Huckerville Hall. The Huckerville community, as it stands there, has no hall. So I don't know what upgrading has been done on what space. So those are my questions. Page 485, 486 and 486, you'll find that.
Thank you, Councillor Olivier. Councillor Kamkam.
Speaker, I'm not going to sing a long song. For me, the issue is that every single year we do our budget. Now we know that if an expenditure is irregular, it means there's a transgression in the SEM policy. Or, if it's fruitless, it means that we did not get a return or we didn't get a service. If it's unauthorized, it means we didn't budget for it. So why are we going through all that effort? We need to start to make a suggestion that we lock our budget, and our budget can only be changed by doing an adjustment budget. I've seen in recent times all these items coming to council on a budget that we've already approved. We don't even know how we actually manage the expenditure. Did we get value for money? And remember, all of this comes to impact after the fact. So we now will investigate. Obviously, for these ones, we know there was no vote. We need to check whether we have, whether we spent a market-related value on whatever. But my issue is, Speaker, that when it comes to recommendation from council, and we've done it several times here, the issue of consequence management, the issue of keeping officials responsible for these type of things. I mean, some of these things is maintenance related. So I don't even understand what is happening here. But Speaker, honestly, this is just creating work that is actually not supposed to happen. And I sincerely hope that we will really, we as council, we cannot sing the same song over and over and over again. We need to start to manage our expenditure. It's just not acceptable. I mean, in the last few months, almost every council meeting, we had items being submitted to council that we didn't budget for, and then now council now needs to note the expenditure, and now council, in some instances, there were even recommendations council should condone the expenditure, and then it gets sent to MPEC. Now MPEC make recommendations, send it to the disciplinary board, then we wait forever. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Chairman of MPEC, Councillor Kamkam, Councillor Mbali.
Thank you, Speaker. I think the concerns of councillors, some of them were deliberated as well in MECO. Among the issues, Speaker, that we need to look at is the issue of contract management. If you look at the bulk of this money, it also revolve around the contract that has expired but continued, to be used. We've asked in MECO that the municipal manager look into the possibilities of making sure that contract management is centralized and with suggestion that it goes to legal services, because that's where we deal with the legal matters. Because in the current form, there's only one officer at the SCM that deals with contracts. And we don't think that is sufficient enough to have a junior official looking at these big contracts, and they expire. They don't know, each department manage their own contracts. And when they expired, somebody is not notified, or the planning is not done on time. You look at the issue of MCON, which we just paid recently, Speaker. Just was a failure of trying to manage the contract. The issue of Ignite, the issue of Business Connect, it was contract management issues that were not really managed. I think we can't be an institution that has contracts, but in the end we don't manage them. And also the issue of monitoring our budget. Each department needs to understand on how they manage their budget cash flow. You can't have a budget that is spent. Yes, we are saying, we're pushing you as officials to say, we want that program to be done, we want that project to be done. But there must be a process in that when you spend that money. Because the next thing, your budget splits, and then you will go over to other votes. And the issue of consequence management, I think we've stressed that enough. And Councillor Swart, you'll realize that this report before us is a 2019-2020 financial year. Therefore, the indigent write-off is for that period. It's not the current. We have not yet done that. We'll do that in June next year. So I thought I must clarify that part. So as we go, we might still have more people coming in to us to be indigent. And all those who are first-timers will have to benefit on this particular one. And we must also note, councillors, as we were talking about the write-off of the historic debt, that is also going to contribute into this. So I thought I must just raise that particular one. And I think the issue, just before we start here, Speaker, we had just loose discussion with Councillor Kamkam as chair, and myself as chair, that we really need to bring that item of cost containment measures as a municipality so that we start following somewhere. We can't avoid it forever, because if we don't do it, then we are just letting everything loose, and yet we are going to blame on officials, and yet we have not given them a guidance which we were given by National Treasury. I think it's high time that that item comes and then be approved by Council, because we didn't have even to amend a lot of things or anything on it. Is to take on the guidance that National Treasury has given to us. Thank you very much, Speaker. We go with the recommendations.
Thank you. I think there was some questions. Executive Mayor.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, on top of the recommendation we've made, I just want to, on what Councillor Kamkam has just highlighted, I think, Speaker, she mentioned that they have made a recommendation as MPEG in terms of consequence management, and they have referred that to a disciplinary committee, and it seems as if no action was taken. I want to suggest, Speaker, that maybe the chairperson of MPEG must prepare a report for us of all the cases that she has referred to the disciplinary committee. And we need to know from the disciplinary committee why are they not doing their work in line with what she has actually suggested. I think it will put us on a pretty good picture as to how many cases and how many cases have been dealt with successfully, just to check in issues of performance around. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I can't say we did because I wasn't there, but we organized a meeting Tuesday between Councillor Kamkam, the MM, and myself. I thought they were going to come to my office, but then they met in the MM's office without me to iron out exactly that issues, Mr. Mayor. But I gave her the assurance that if she needs to bring a report, if she can't find the help that she needs, that committee reports to council, and council need to know what the issues is that they battle with. So yeah, she's fully aware.
Speaker, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And Speaker, we are meeting on Tuesday again. I am busy preparing a report. My fellow MPEG members, we are going to iron things out, and then, Speaker, we will have to look at a special council meeting, preferably in November, for us to bring all those items back to council and report back to council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kamkam. All questions were answered, I think by Councillor Mbali, unless there was a specific question that was not answered. All happy? Thank you very much. There was proposal by Councillor Mbali, seconded by Councillor Machila. That concludes that item. If we can move then to the next item on our agenda, which is item C/2/202/1020, list of withdrawals from the municipal bank account for the quarter ended 30th of September 2020. You will find the report on page 496 until 501. Item is now serving. Councillor Mbali.
Thank you, Speaker. We go with the recommendation.
There's a proposal that we go with the recommendation, seconded by Councillor Machila. So item is duly carried. Then we will move to the next item. Item C/2/203/1020. Status of municipal financial position for the quarter ending 30th of September 2020. And there's an addendum that was circulated separately. Find the original item on page 1 to 125 on the addendum. It's on the system, probably. No, it's fine. I'll check it on the system. I've seen it. Item is serving. Councillors? Councillor Mbali?
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, we take cognizance of the report. We must say this is a report of the first quarter. At least we are in a very positive financial position. As I think, if my officials can wink, I think we are on a liquidity of 2:1, which the national standard is 1:5. So at least we are in a positive financial position as we stand. Therefore, we can meet our obligations for the next 2 to 3 months. With that, Speaker, we go with the recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mbali. There's a proposal. We go with the recommendations. Seconded by Councillor Machila. That concludes the item, and the recommendations is carried. If we can go to the next item. It is item C31971020, and it's the customer care section. It is the very first report that we get from customer care, and I hope we will have one on a monthly basis, because that will help councillors to see how the community feels and where the complaints are on lack of depths in our services. You will find the report on page 503 to 610. The report is serving. Yes, Councillor Swart.
Thank you, Speaker. Just some comments. I think we need to start using these reports to identify bottlenecks and not as a place to point fingers. And I want to also appeal to departments to act on the complaints received quickly. Because what is happening is we're telling people to report things to customer care, irrespective of what it is, so that we can track it and we can at least then identify where there are problems. But when there's no activity and things don't get repaired, the comments from the public is that it's no use phoning customer care is useless. Now, customer care is only a conduit for the complaints, and they unfairly been blamed when departments do not act on the complaints. So I need to appeal that the departments act timeously and close it off so that customer care doesn't get discredited and then the public don't want to use the customer care line. So that's all I have to say on this. We take notice of the complaints and bottlenecks and fix them.
Yes. Councillor Mbali.
Thank you very much. I think Councillor Dave just hit the nail on this matter. And this is exactly what we were saying, Councillor. And that's why I think the commendation by Zetuma is saying, let us have a workshop. Let us deal with what we believe to be the gaps. And once we identify those gaps and how we can then transform that section into a proper help desk. Because what is currently happening, you are right, it's just a continue to report and log a call. But you don't get first-hand assistance from that department. And we made a typical example about someone phoning on a Saturday that they want to pay, but they just want to see what do they owe and how much they can pay. The person at customer care will have to say, I need to go and find Sharifa or need to go and find so-and-so for me to know, because I don't know. There, they can't just log into a computer and then they will tell you. So we're saying, let's have that workshop. Let's debate what are the best possible solutions so that a person that calls us is able to be helped in that environment. But for immediate, even before the workshop, what the management needs to do is that our officials must understand that they are serving the people. The manner in which they communicate and they talk to the people the community must feel that they are being assisted. And the current people are complaining that the officials are rude in the manner in which they talk to them. And I think we can't accept that. People must know they will work under duress, they will be insulted, but I think they need to be trained for that particular people, so that they understand that they are there to serve the people, and they will also serve people who are angry. You know, so I think that's the argument we deposited, Speaker, and I think that workshop will assist us and make sure that we transform the help desk. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Bali. Councillor Van Reijnen.
Speaker, my point is only the language barrier, because people are phoning in, nobody is understanding Afrikaans. And some of the old people who are phoning, they don't understand English, so we must also look at that, please.
Thank you, Councillor Van Reijnen. It is also, apart from us, Councillor Bali, workshopping about the problems that are there, we also need to relook at our policies on that as well. Because I had many people coming to my office saying that I've just been up to finance, I want to pay my bill, but I just want to query it. I've got my money, I want to pay. I'm sent down to come and get a reference number, or whatever they call it. And then I must go up again there with my reference number. I mean, you can't send people around up and down like that they wants to come and pay the municipal bill. That person will simply get into his car or get into a taxi and go home, and instead of being fooled around by that. And the other thing that I also do, I visit the Plate Municipal Bitou Service Delivery page on a regular basis to see the complaints that are there as well. That are, we need to look. I'm not saying that we're not delivering services. We do deliver services, but we must better our communication and with our customers, because that's who they are. They are our customers. And we can't expect them to be run around, send them from pillar to post. It's just not right. There was a seconder, a proposal by Councillor Bali. Is there a seconder? Councillor Van Reijnen. Thank you very much. That item carried. Next item is under Section 4, Community Services. Yes, Mr. Mayor, sorry.
With finance, I'm not sure whether the item that I requested that it must go back. We will look after it under community services.
No, it'll be, it's under the first, as under the municipal manager. We'll deal with it last. Okay. Yeah, we'll deal with it last. When we're done with these other two, with this one item, then that's the item that we will deal with. The next item is under community services, item C489-1020. Removal and relocation of colony phase 3A, non-qualifiers, and the purchasing of building material to supply, I suppose, the demolished informal structures. To supply to non-qualifiers. It just doesn't make sense to me a little bit, but it's all right. You will find the item on page 612 until 618. We must just make correct the reading. Item 7, Councillor Deputy Executive Mayor, Councillor Kabai.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, this item really speaks to the development that is going to happen in Kolweni. The non-qualifiers, Speaker, are these people that they have not yet catered for. Because you will understand that the TRA that is completed is only for people who are qualifiers. And then therefore, those people who are living in that area where there must be construction, but the remainder of the people that will be left there are non-qualifiers. Then therefore, we must also make a plan about them. When we had Mako, the executive mayor put it very nicely. It was very informative because in those non-qualifiers, there are people who have not even registered. In those non-qualifiers, there are even Africans. There are so many, Speaker, and then therefore those people must be removed in that area because it's where there is going to be development. We cited so many challenges there. One is that we are going to get resistance because there are people who already have houses in Kwanogutula and even Bosisref for that matter, who received houses and went back to Kolwyn. There are people there who've got businesses. So the resistance is going to be very challenging for us as a municipality. And what also we cited is that we don't have capacity as the municipality in terms of law enforcement because we must monitor the removal and the moving of those people. We don't want to move somebody. Let me make an example. We move somebody to a TRA, and immediately when we move that particular family, there's another person going there. We're going to have challenges. It has happened over these years, and you'll find out that then sheikhs are mushrooming all the time then when we have these developments. We want to do it in a manner that is going to be monitored. As the officials of the municipality together with PEP, they've got a plan. They know the numbers of these people who must move to where, who must get a house and all those. So I'm trying to say, Speaker, this project is one of the difficult ones that we are having in Bitou. And we need to take cognizance that also, Speaker, there are financial implications just for moving people, Speaker. Because we cannot move people and yet we don't cater for them. They are human beings. When they are moved, they must go and stay in a decent area. The item that we approved here about COVID-19 also speaks to sanitation and all that. So what I'm trying to say, Speaker, is that really we must monitor the removal of these people. We are solely talking about the non-qualifiers now. And non-qualifiers are those that are going to give us headaches. So we must be hands-on on the deck and until we finish up this development. I can't stress more, Speaker, that it has been said by councillors that we are going to get a resistance in these people who are called non-qualifiers. And we must be able to have a plan, believing that the plan is there, but we need just to polish it so as to be able to give the people who deserve houses and they live also a decent life. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy Executive Mayor, Councillor Swart.
Thank you, Speaker. I just need some clarity on what sort of structures we're going to be building for the non-qualifiers. We must also remember the non-qualifiers are also people who do not meet the criteria, not just those that haven't applied, and still won't meet the criteria in 5 or 10 years' time for various reasons, whether it be age or earnings or whatever that is. We must be careful not to set a precedent. We're going to move the non-qualifiers to an area that's suitable for them. But in the previous item on the allocation of the funding for COVID relief that we got, that 17 million, I also spoke about controlling new illegally from the termite shacks being built. If people get an understanding that if they're on a place where development is going to happen and they do not qualify, they will get another house in some form. We may set a precedent where people do build illegal shacks on areas we plan to develop and then have a further problem going down. So we need to be careful how we do it and what precedent we set when we do things like this. So yeah, just some clarity on what we want to do and just to be aware of any precedents that we could set that could hamper future developments we've got in the pipeline.
Thank you, Councillor Swart. Councillor Kamkam.
Thank you, Speaker. I think, Speaker, there was a time when we spoke a policy on informal dwellings. Speaker, I think it's about time that as council we become proactive. This problem is not just relating to Kolweni Bosisgaf area, but to informal areas in general, where we fail to control the mushrooming of illegal dwellings or shacks. And the deputy has touched on, obviously we want to do things in a dignified manner. We want things to do in a manner that we don't treat people, because I know the Red Ends, they've also got a bit of a reputation, you know. But Speaker, if we fail to monitor and if we fail to actually be able to monitor the building of the shacks within the informal settlement, if we fail to have a plan in place of how we will actually deal with problems, we will forever sit with this problem. I mean, I looked at a spreadsheet that was sent to me by Pep a couple of months ago, where the shacks in, I'm going to mention the Zawa area, was about 400. It was just below 400. When I attended a meeting last week, I was told the shack count is now on 529. So there's a problem. In instances where we as councillors also, we timelessly report someone is busy building. We go through all the effort of phoning customer care, we go through all the effort of informing law enforcement, then becomes a blame game between departments. And once a person moves into a house, there's legislation and things that we must deal with. We cannot just go in and remove people without taking certain things into consideration. So we must look at a plan for all informal settlements. Because I'm going to tell you, this problem here, when development start in other areas where there's also informal settlements, we're going to have same problems with budget implications, money that we don't have. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Kamkam. Councillor Machila.
Thanks, Speaker. Speaker, we have discussed these issues in our stakeholders meeting, because we have those meetings every Tuesdays. But one thing I would like to stress is that only if the housing officials will make sure that they assist us in this project, I don't see any problem. The reason why I'm saying this is because there is no communication between the official housing. They always have a different information. Each one is going this direction, other one's going the other direction. That's the only problem that will give us a problem in that community about this project. If the director or acting director that is here today in this council meeting can make sure that the officials are speaking together, are sitting in the meetings, are discussing, are having the same information, talking one language, I don't see any problem, Speaker. And make sure that they attend the stakeholders meetings. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Machila. Very important. Councillor Bali.
Thank you, Speaker. I think Councillor Swart and Councillor Kamkam touched on two things. The first one being us setting a precedence. The second one, managing mushrooming of these shacks. Now, let me first deal with the item, Speaker, by saying we are now dealing for operational purpose with what we receive in terms of the COVID-19 allocation. We are now dealing with exactly what needs to happen and which we spoke about. And I think I was part of the meeting where PEP was here to present the work they did in Kolweni, and this is a result of that. And they have outlined in various blocks, I think there are about 5 blocks that they need to attend to. And the issue of non-qualifiers, the issue of saying there are those who will never qualify. What do we do? I think they've put a pen in place and say, for example, others who will never qualify because they've already benefited from housing. They were going to be asked to go back to their houses or find a suitable place. The only people that the municipality should look at is to those who currently don't qualify because perhaps they might have not applied. Because there were people who are new, who just arrived in Platte and they've never applied for housing. Therefore, you need to make sure that those people, when they have a possibility of them being approved for housing, they deal with that. I think PEP has got that kind of map as well. And if you go to Kolweni, you'll find the map, and then there's got the documentation that spill out their plan of how this thing. I think PEP was appointed by the province to deal directly with that issue. So in terms of that, I think there is a plan, but we are correct. We shouldn't set a precedent because at some point there's going to be an open area. Some people, because we remember we've got foreigners, those are the people who will never qualify. So they will find a space to stay, you know. I think we did this in 2006, 2007 in KwaNokuthula, where the municipality put an interdict in all of its open spaces so that people don't build. And what happened? People never built. We were able to build properly, put a proper infrastructure, build houses, and then it moved. In the current way, you got informal settlement, now you have to first start as to removing people and all of those things. And I can foresee now in Kwano as well, you'll know where we used to call it buffer zone. There's mushrooming of shacks. It started as shacks for churches. And before we know it, it's going to be shacks for people who are living there. The next thing they want is services that they must be rendered to them. So that's a precedent and the lack of action, both at law enforcement as well as building control. So I think we need to tighten up our grip, to deal with these particular issues. But in terms of this item, I think the mayor, when he opens up in his statement, he was dealing exactly with this particular item. I second the recommendation by the Deputy Mayor. Thank you.
Who proposed? The Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And seconded by Councillor Mbali. Then that concludes section 4. There is nothing under section 5, nothing under section 6. We go back to section 1, which is the Office of the Municipal Manager, and we will be dealing with item C182-1020. This is a request for condonation from Council to authorize the unforeseen and unavoidable expenditure incurred as a result of the recent riots. The item is serving. Do I have hands? Mr. Mayor, you wanted to clarity on it?
Thank you very much, Speaker. This is the item that...
Yes.
Thank you, Speaker. This is the item that I requested that we must look at it last. We only got the report this morning, so I actually needed a detailed report so that I can advise council or report properly and recommend properly to council. This report that we've got this morning it does not really tell us the full story of what's happening around this condonment that needs to happen. You will remember this unrest when it took place, the municipal manager was forced to source the services of a private service provider in terms of the right ends. The invoice that I've asked the officials to give me indicates that the red end started on the 10th of October until the 20th. So it's about 10 days period. So I needed to know how it happened. The red ends were not appointed through a proper tender process, or they were not contracted as such. But you remember we've got a service provider in the form of Solomzi. So according to the municipal manager, the advice he got from the CFO was the best thing to do in order to avoid irregular expenditure and so on is to ask Solomzi to appoint the red ends. And Solomzi did that. He contracted the red ends, and there's an amount of 10% that Solomzi must also get from the charges that the red ends company might charge. There were about 8 units. They don't charge per guard. They charge per unit. And a unit has got about 8 men. And we happen to source about 3 units. The number of those guards is about 24 in total. Now, I won't narrate where these units were deployed, but they were deployed in councillors' houses along the industrial area and other strategic areas that were supposed to be protected. Now, a unit cost about 33,000 per day, 1 unit. So you remember we've got about 3 units. And the cars by itself, because they came with their own material, and they brought their Casper, which cost about 42,000 per day for that period of 10 days. The fortunate part is that they don't ask for accommodation, they don't ask for food, they've got their own arrangement. They worked day and night. So this amount looked so high if you look at it. So I had to ask around how much a security guard should be paid. And our normal security guards that are here on a daily basis, we pay them 400 per day, which amounts up to 12,000 per month for our normal guards. Now, I wanted to compare the normal amount that we pay on with regard to guards. But this one, the explanation is that this is a specialized security services. These are specialized security guards. So the amount they charge is not similar to the ones that we pay on a normal basis. So I asked which municipalities happen to pay this amount of money or, use the red ends. They looked at the city of, they said it's standard, this amount that they're charging is standard. The city of Cape Town paid for it, Johannesburg paid for it. I said Saldanha, West Coast, there's another municipality again. And Neisner also used these red ends, and they were charging this standard amount that they are charging us. So based on that information, Speaker, I will make the recommendation. To council as the municipal manager has suggested here. But on recommendation 3C, As Councillor Kankam was talking about this, I would love to be involved when you appoint red ends, because I know what they do sometimes in the community. I don't want councillors to be surprised that the red ends are there and they are dealing our communities without us knowing, because I can see here it's saying the municipal manager and the director of community services, but I need to be consulted when they decide to use the red ends. On top of that, Speaker, this amount, I wanted to ask the municipal manager, what are the plans now when it comes to the relocation of the people of Kolwe? If there's a need for them, do we have that kind of money? And how long will they be? So we need to be strategic when we're dealing with this matter of relocation and the use of law enforcement vis-a-vis the red ends. But that's the amount that, Speaker, was worrying me. I thought it's a lot of money. Hence, I said the item, at least so that I can get enough details on it. If there's any other question from councillors, I think the MM and Mr. Sakati and the CFO might be able to advise on the matter. That's all, Speaker, that I wanted to share with council.
Thank you. I'll start with Councillor Mbali.
Speaker.
Yes, then Councillor Kamkam, then Councillor Nell, and then Councillor Swart, and then the Deputy Executive Mayor. Councillor Mbali.
Thanks, Speaker. I think I'm going to just touch two things. The first one, Speaker, I think the town has called on the municipality to bring about stability in that particular period. And understanding that these are specialized people. We know two ways of how they deal with issues. That's why the community has pleaded with us not to use them during that time because they were scared. Further said, please utilize them during this particular period which we talk about. And I think these are the results. These are the expenditures that we need to put them together in spite of that report to say, what did the riots cost us? You know, we did it previously to say we need that report to know the previous riot, what did it cost us? And this also needs to form part of what did this riot cost us? What does it cost the town? What does it cost the municipality? And moreover to that, I just, the mayor, when the mayor spoke about wanting to be involved in the appointment of that, I don't think he said it in that light. I don't think he said he wants to be involved in the appointment of. He wants to be informed once the security services company is appointed, so that the operational plan is known by the executive. I think I wanted to get it that way, and I think we committed also a mistake in the previous item, where we've named the services of a company that must be appointed by ourselves. Now, I just wanted to have the separations between Section 117 and as well as Section 115. That we need to understand those two. So that I put that on record. It remains with the municipal manager, with security services company they appoint, but we need stabilization unit or teams as a municipality. With that, Speaker, and I'm sure councillors will debate, I'll go with the recommendations. Thank you.
Councillor Kamkam.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, the mayor did give us a background now. The only challenge I have is if you authorize an amount that you didn't budget for, it obviously means that that money must come from somewhere. We know the service delivery issues in Bitou, and we know that some of our service delivery departments has got various challenges. Now, my issue is if I'm not properly informed in a proper adjustment budget, it's going to show me we're taking money away from this to add on to that. How can I make an informed decision? Because during the month or somewhere along the line, we are now approving something that we are not even sure how it's going to implicate our operational budget or our budget in general. That's the issue I have. We are forever making decisions in this council based on things that happen haphazardly. During the riots, we had a chance to have a council meeting. We could have done it via Skype. We could have been informed to say, council, there's a matter that's going to have an implication on the budget. This is the breakdown. We were supposed to then get information that we can make an informed decision, not after the fact. And I've also got a problem with number 2. You know, I can understand that we can add on, you know, if we can see there's a shortfall, but number 3, that's actually, sorry, I said number 2, I meant number 3. That the Director of Community Services, in consultation with the municipal manager, be authorized to make use of any open-ended, once again, not relating to emergency, riots or whatever, it's open-ended, of additional security services if necessary to do so in future. How are we even going to control that? We already have a budget that's we don't have any control of, it seems, because it's just going like that. So I've got a problem with that, Speaker. And as I say, fine, we can authorize it, but we need to know where that money is going to come from and from which votes, because it's going to have implications on our operational budget, which in the end will have implications in our service delivery.
Okay, Councillor Nell. Councillor Nell. Councillor Swart.
Sorry, Speaker, can you hear me now?
Okay, I can hear you now.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Speaker. I have two matters that I would like to discuss. Councillor Kamkom touched on the first one, and that is the authorization for this additional expenditure mentioned.
Can you just talk a little bit clearer for us into your mic, Councillor? No?
Sorry, Speaker. Can you hear me now?
Yes, much better.
Okay. I have two issues. The one is, and that is in concurrence with Councillor Kamkom, recommendation 3. I believe that recommendation 3 gives too many powers to the director involved, and I suggest and believe seriously that council could actually have an emergency council meeting, even if it would be at the middle of the night. And council should deal with this matter. So I think the matters are, that recommendation is too broad, and I really think council should be involved in that. Secondly, Speaker, the whole matter of tariffs charged by security companies is regulated by the Private Security Regulatory Act of 2019. I would request that we just research this item and refer to that regulatory, there is an organization called CIRA, which controls the security industry, and there are tariffs prescribed, to check that we are falling within the allowed tariffs for this, because it seems very, very high. Unreasonably, as the Mayor explained, what the cost of a guard for us per day is, as opposed to then 33,000 Rand per unit per day. So I would request that we do investigate this as well. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Nao. Councillor Swart.
Thank you, Speaker. I think Councillor Kamkom's touched on most of what I want to say. It's just that, you know, it's always difficult to suddenly have to approve something that you're never party to a decision, and the money's got to come from somewhere. You have so many instances already of things not being done because money has been moved out of those particular departments' budgets to help fund COVID issues, and now we're having to deal with a large amount that's already been spent. So it's not the supplier's fault now that he's not being paid. It's for us to decide whether he has to be paid. He's given the service that he's been contracted for, but now we have to find it in ourselves to give 3.5 million Rand worth of money that is necessary, that is needed elsewhere. And we've already had other expenses relating to housing matters and things like that, that are also large amounts like this, that are coming out of service funding where we need to provide service deliveries. And I don't see that we can give an open-ended checkbook as such, as point number 3 allows us to do, for more such service to be contracted at a whim without us being notified, and it could be amounts that are even larger than that, and then we have to find the money elsewhere.
Thank you, Councillor Swart. Councillor Kabay, Deputy Executive Mayor.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, one thing that I want to say is that we can't allow this town to go into ashes at our disposal. The second part is that this is a tourist destination, and captains of industry and commerce lives here. It's an unforeseen thing that happened, and we forget that, Speaker, the unrest in Kolweni didn't happen this time around. It happened, believing last year, where businesses were bent down. The mayor and all of us were insulted in this council chamber. And the questions were, what have you done? Out of their own pockets, they had to rebuild their businesses worth millions. And it was in the media, they wrote about it. We secured assets of their businesses this time around. We secured also our own assets as the municipality. So Speaker, what I'm trying to say is that really, I even investigated these red ends, and I was told that a regalia of one guard is worth $1 million. Hey, I wanted to fall down. Just the regalia, Speaker, of one a guard is worth $1 million. And this town is worth billions, Speaker. I'm not saying wasting money. Yeah, it's wasting money anyway, because again, we must take blame, all of us, that we are supposed to all the time go to our communities and quell fires before they start. By quelling fires before they start is communication. Councillor Machela just raised that. Officials go in these communities with forked tongues. This one is saying this one is saying that, this one is saying that. And immediately after that, we go as politicians to quell fires. It's too late. We were obliged, Speaker, to defend the town this time around. Because even the days that this unrest, it was more than 4 to 5 days. 5 days, and then businesses were saying, Mr. Mayor, what are you doing? You see, now it comes back to us. So we had to do something, Speaker. I understand the matter of money, budgeting, and all that stuff, but it was an unforeseen circumstance, and we had to act, and really we saved the businesses of the people of Plettenberg Bay, and we saved jobs. Minding that we are coming from COVID-19, we are still in COVID-19. People were saying, we've got only a month, I'm at work only a month, where the past months we're sitting down because of the levels of COVID-19, and there is an unrest. What are you then going to do about our plight? really we acted accordingly, Speaker. Again, I stress that a problem is money, and therefore we must be able to defend that this is what we have done in order to curb these following incidents. I think, Speaker, through the leadership of the Executive Mayor, we've done very well, because there is none of these businesses in town, and the assets of the municipality that were damaged. All is well, Speaker. I really support the recommendation by the Executive Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Kabai. Councillor Nel?
Speaker, can I just stress that I do not differ from Councillor Kabai. I think what was done was absolutely necessary, and I think it is to be lauded that no properties were burnt down and that the properties were protected. So I have no problem with that. My concern is, Speaker, my point 3 is of a huge concern to me. I do not think it will be wise for us to give an open checkbook to a specific council, a specific head of a department. We need to monitor this as council. As council, we need to do our jobs, even if we have to have a Skype council meeting overnight or in the middle of the night in an emergency, and that is what I'm pleading for. And I'm also pleading for us just to check on the tariffs that have been charged. They are high. They might be out of kilter. There is a regulatory system that this is regulated by. Let's just check that before we just go ahead next time and make sure that we have the right tariffs charged to us. So I'm in full agreement. There is no difference between us or between me and what has been said by the previous councillors. But to me, the open checkbook is a big problem, and I really request council not to allow that. And that we as council make that decision, and that we make it, even if it's in the middle of the night, we can do that. That is our job. That's what we are here for. And that we just check that we're getting the right value for money. We did get value for money in this instance. The charges are just frightfully high. And I would like us to check whether they are in fact allowed in terms of the law. And that law stands. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. We heard you clearly, Councillor Nel. Councillor Mbali.
I think it's seconded, but I just wanted to highlight, because on point number 3, councillors are highlighting an issue, which one, when listening, it has a sense to it. But also, as councillors, we just need to make sure that we understand the 3 sections in the MFMA. One is the section 117, 2 is section 115, and the 3 is section 173. It remains the authority and the actioning of the municipal manager, and as well as the CFO as an accounting officer, to make sure that the implementation of the supply chain process is only them. Ours is to play an oversight, and I agree with that oversight that councillors are raising on this particular issue. On the issue of saying it's open-ended, one will remember the court case in Durban where the municipality was charged for neglecting to protect their properties. It was the municipal manager that has to be charged for that. Therefore, if we are going to sit in every time there must be actions the officials they must take, they must first come and consult with the council whether they must appoint or not appoint, because if we say no, they will say we'll advise you against this. So I'm saying I understand and I get the point of the councillors, but I thought I must just raise that issue, because I'm not saying they are wrong. I might be the one wrong in their view when it comes to the issue of it being open-ended, but it remains their responsibility to sanction the SCN. As to the issue of the budget, they should be able, the municipality has budgeted for the security services. They should use that vote and that budget, and therefore the next necessary step is to adjust the budget in January to make sure it accommodates whatever is spent going forward until the next financial year is finished. So I thought I must just raise those particular issues. Speaker.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Mbale. I think the contentious issue is recommendation 3. And if you are speaker, you can listen to everybody and you can feel how they debate. If we remove the Director of Community Services and replace that with the municipal manager, I think problem solved, because it's his job in any case. The municipal manager can then inform the mayor, Mr. Mayor, there's a crisis. I will have to deal with it in securities-wise. The mayor doesn't have to be, or he should not be involved with the supply chain process. But then the mayor can say, well, let me call the speaker to call a council meeting, if needs be, if it's out of hand. I think that's how it should be dealt with. I think Director of Community Services must be removed from this recommendation. The municipal manager job in any case. He's the accounting officer. Mr. Mayor?
Speaker, can I quickly come in?
Sorry, Councillor Nell?
Speaker, can I just say thank you very much for that? That will answer my query completely. And that is the correct way to deal with this thing. So for me, I will go with that.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Nell. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I get what the councillors are saying, that they need to be informed and maybe approve some of the expenditures. It's a good thing to do. But you know what we are dealing with. We are dealing with a strategy, a well-calculated strategy, political strategy. Let's say it's at night, and people want to go and burn one of our properties at night. There's no security guarding that property. What do we do? The only thing is to immediately that night to go and source security.
And he must do it.
And then MM must do it. Let's say again, then we call the meeting the following day that there are these riots in the area of Kolwe. We discussed that okay, MM, get more security in the area of Kolwe. Immediately after the council meeting, the Akransu community start to rise again. Are you still going to call another council? Immediately after that, cracks is mobilizing. Will you still call council meeting for that? That is the situation that we're confronted with, because it's a well-calculated political strategy, and it's going to be worse moving towards the elections. So I think councillors will keep on coming. But I think the best thing is what needs to happen. The MM must make sure that he applies his mind properly, especially in terms of cost containment. Hence, I think we need to look at that cost containment with eagle's eye, Speaker. But I'm just worried that councillors might always be caught on this thing because it's a political thing. Thank you.
So the recommendation 3 will read that the municipal manager be authorized to make use of additional security services during riot times if necessary to do so in future. Happy? Thank you very much. I had a proposer, Councillor Mbali, and I had a seconder, the Deputy Executive Mayor, Councillor Kabai. So item carried. That concludes the open session of council. Let me just get to my order of business. We are now we're done with item 8 on the agenda. We're going to item 9. Urgent matters submitted by the municipal manager, none received. Item 10, the consideration of notices of motions, none received.
So, Speaker?
Sorry, Councillor Swart.
If I may, item 10, motions. It's one of the items that was requested by yourself to come back to council for this meeting. it's probably the third time you've requested it, and we still don't have that back in council.
Now, we did ask at least 2 previous council meetings about this item and the response that needs to come back. I mean, I don't know, councillors, you must help me now. Which department is the culprit?
Community services. It's one item that I know. It's about the rentals that relates to businesses. The other motion, it was not served directly to me. It was served at the archives and arrived late, the one that I informed you.
Can you please inform the director of that section that council are not very happy with the fact that he's ignoring council resolutions? And I want you to put it in writing. And that you put it in on terms to him that item must serve complete with all questions answered at the next council meeting. Failing which, disciplinary action will be taken against him. It's just not on. That's from the beginning of the year or even last year that this item. I mean, what can be so difficult on answering that? Thank you very much. Thanks, Councillor Swart. The next item is item 11. Consideration of notice of question. None received. Item 12, consideration of motions of exigency, none received. Item 13, it's in committee matters. Can we, at this stage,